It seems Harris Black is finally facing justice. Black, of course, is the Montreal man facing almost 50 charges of consumer fraud for running a job placement agency that offered no real jobs. Now, Todd, you've been investigating Black for several years now, both his activities here and in Vancouver.
That's right, Bill. As you know, we've been tracking Harris Black since December of 2001, his consumer fraud activities, his online dating activities. Today's story led us to numerous victims and a stop in Vancouver, where Black operated for 18 months. It does look like he is finally facing justice. There are multiple court dates. His lawyer was at the courthouse today, and we were there waiting. Every story has an ending. For Harris Black, the final chapter may have begun this morning at the Montreal courthouse. At 9:30 a.m. outside room 506, some of his alleged victims were waiting. In total, they say they lost thousands of dollars to a man they call Montreal's biggest scam artist. But by 11 a.m., Harris was no-show. His lawyer, Michael Stober, arrived at noon and got the case postponed once again, this time until April.
I'm certainly not going to give any information at this point to the media, but the file is being looked at in great detail.
The details of Harris's story begin 5 years ago. He ran companies like Phoenix Enterprises, Employment 2000. Using classified ads in offices around Montreal, he promised people jobs that didn't exist.
He is specialized in advertising, offering job, as we would say, maybe fake job, which don't exist. They more likely exist in his imagination.
Most of Black's victims, unemployed women.
He preys on people that need help. I mean, I was stuck. I was in a horrible position, and he obviously saw that.
Can't the police do something? This doesn't make sense that he could take advantage of so many people. He ripped me off for $700 when I was unemployed. I didn't have a job. I had no income.
Harris was charged with dozens of counts of consumer fraud and found guilty of some. He also pleaded guilty to sexual assault. Thanks to a slow legal system, he apparently got away with his ploy for years, opening and closing companies. The best consumer protection could do was to warn people.
How difficult would it be to put him in jail?
Pretty difficult.
Difficult, even next to impossible, because police have to prove Harris was intentionally defrauding people. Gary McHugh was one of the few people to get money back from Harris.
Everyone says you must follow the legal system, but it doesn't seem to be working. It's been 2 years, and Mr. Black just keeps going from city to city and from victim to victim.
He's scum. He's scum. I mean, it's just not fair. It's not fair. And for him to continue, and he was able to move across Canada and do it someplace else.
That someplace else was Vancouver. In May 2002, Black left Montreal for BC, and soon people there were being taken too. For 18 months, Harris Black operated out of this building on West Georgia Street in the heart of downtown Vancouver, going under the alias of John Ashton. And it was the same story, a job placement agency that offered no jobs. Soon enough, the city of Vancouver began to receive complaints about John Ashton's company, and eventually the police fraud squad got involved. In late 2003, Harris left Vancouver for Montreal, this time using online dating sites to meet women. He was posing as a doctor. Using a hidden camera, we caught Harris lying about being a doctor, which is against the law. And in fact, the Quebec College of Physicians is now investigating the case.
He could be subject to a fine of $600 minimum to $6,000 maximum per offense.
Harris may now be living in this plateau apartment building. Flyers like this one have been made by his victims to warn some of his neighbors.
The fact that it's so huge and it's so many people and nothing happens to them, you know? I mean, you have people who do less than that who go to jail.
And then, suddenly, last week, an about-face. Harris sent at least 4 checks to repay 4 of his victims, checks that come from his father's bank account.
I'm actually ecstatic because when I started this 2 years ago, the whole goal was to get some of the people some of their money back. So there's 4 people now that got paid.
So has Harris Black started 2004 on a new leaf, a resolution to go straight and repay his victims? It's hard to say, but for 4 people at least, the Harris Black saga is finally over.
So, Bill, stay tuned. The next court date is April the 14th. We'll have to see if he appears. Meantime, I've also heard some reports that he's now operating under the alias of Tom Hamilton. As we mentioned in that report, he has started to repay some of his victims, many others, though, still to repay. At least it's a positive sign. All in all, though, it's taken a very long time to get to the bottom of this. It certainly shows how slow the justice system can be, Bill, when it comes to white-collar crimes.
Thank you very much, Todd.